Empress Wu Zetian, China's only female emperor. In the vast and turbulent history of China, there is only one woman who dared to claim the imperial throne. A woman who defied tradition, shattered barriers, and ruled with intelligence, ruthlessness, and vision. Her name was Wu Zetian, and she remains one of the most controversial yet fascinating figures in history. But how did a low-ranking concubine rise to become the most powerful person in China? This is the story of China's only female emperor, a Aizi woman who changed the course of history. Early life and entry into the imperial court. Wu Zetian was born in 624 CE during the Tang dynasty. Unlike most girls of her time, she received an unusual education, learning to read, write, and debate, skills usually reserved for men. Her intelligence and ambition set her apart from a young age. At 14 years old, she was brought to the imperial palace as a concubine of Emperor Taizong. However, she remained in the background, unable to exert any real influence, but fate had other plans. After Emperor Taizong's death, tradition dictated that his concubines retire to a Buddhist nunnery. However, Wu Zetian did something unheard of. She returned to court and caught the eye of the new emperor, Gaozong, Taizong's son. Soon she became his favorite consort, and her true rise to power began. Eliminating rivals and gaining power, the imperial court was a place of ruthless ambition, and Wu Zetian proved she could outmaneuver anyone who stood in her way. The empress at the time, Empress Wang, saw Wu as a threat. But Wu was always one step ahead. A shocking event sealed Empress Wang's fate. Wu Zetian's infant daughter mysteriously died, and she accused Empress Wang of murder. Whether Wu orchestrated the child's death is unknown, but the result was clear. Empress Wang and another rival were removed, and Wu Zetian became Empress consort. Even as Empress, she wasn't satisfied. She gradually took control of imperial decisions, making Emperor Gaozong increasingly dependent on her. When he suffered a stroke, Wu Zetian became the real power behind the throne. By the time Gaozong died in 683 CE, Wu Zetian had already secured her dominance. She removed her own sons from power, declaring them unfit to rule. And in 690 CE, she did what no woman had ever done. She declared herself Emperor of China, founding the Zhou dynasty. Empress Wu Zetian's rule as Emperor Wu Zetian was ruthless yet effective. Her reign brought stability, economic growth, and military expansion. Some of her most important policies included merit-based government. She expanded the imperial examination system, ensuring that officials were chosen based on talent rather than aristocratic birth. Support for education and Buddhism. She promoted Buddhism over Confucianism, as Confucian scholars opposed women in power. Military strength. She strengthened China's borders and expanded its influence in Central Asia. However, her rule was not without brutality. She spied on officials, used secret police, and executed those who opposed her. She even had a network of informants to maintain control. Despite her controversial tactics, China flourished under her leadership. She ruled with an iron will, proving that a woman could be just as capable, if not more, than any man. The fall of an empire and her final days. By the late 690s, Wu Zetian was in her 70s. Her enemies grew bolder, and opposition to her rule increased. In 705 CE, she was forced to abdicate the throne, and the Tang dynasty was restored. She died shortly after, at the age of 81, an unprecedented lifespan for an emperor. In a final act of defiance, her tomb was left without an inscription, as if daring history to judge her legacy. Legacy: villain or visionary? Wu Zetian remains one of history's most complex figures. Was she a power-hungry tyrant or a brilliant leader who reshaped China? Her legacy endures. She proved that a woman could rule an empire, defy societal expectations, and leave a lasting impact on history. Her story is a reminder: power is never freely given. It must be taken. And Wu Zetian took it all. Conclusion: Empress Wu Zetian's story is one of intelligence, ambition, and resilience. She broke barriers, crushed enemies, and ruled one of the greatest empires in history. She may have been feared, but one thing is certain: she will never be forgotten.